Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Vetonomics. My name is Justin Henderson, Senior Vice President here at RecruitMilitary. And again, thank you for our third installation of Vetonomics. And the goal of these next 30 minutes is really to talk about veteran recruiting. There are so many organizations out there trying to find avenues to attract the right military experience to their needs. And there are so many veterans out there that are just trying to find the right opportunities that they can leverage their military experience in corporate America. I'm a prime example of that. I don't know if I mentioned before, I am a former Marine. I spent 6 years in the Marine Corps Reserves as a motor transport operator, meaning truck driver. Did that for 6 years. Ended up earning my college degree in economics, hence the reason Vetonomics. And spent several years looking for the right opportunity for my experience and my drive. And luckily, 15 years ago, Bradley Morris took a chance on me, and here I am. So again, Justin Henderson, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk to me. I'm going to share my screen here and get started with Vetonomics. Now, this is my third episode here. And with that is my third lesson learned. I do this on the first Friday of every month so that we can dissect the jobs report that comes out. But my lesson learned for October 2021 is if that first Friday of the month is on the first day of the month, the jobs report doesn't come out till the next Friday. So we're going to go over the numbers real quick, but these numbers were actually from the September jobs report. Next week, what I want to do is really I'm going to start something new, kind of an espresso version of Vetonomics, where we'll have this 30-minute segment. Hopefully everybody gets some good nuggets of knowledge out of it. But after that, I will do a 3 to 5 minute kind of synopsis of what we covered that's a little bit more easily digestible. And we could send that out. I'll post it out on LinkedIn on the following Monday for a reference. So what I'll do is I'll wait till the job report comes out next Friday and then record that and get that out to everybody. So thank you so much as I continue to develop and grow in this series. So again, the numbers from last month were phenomenal. As far as the veteran goes, we're hoping for 750,000 new jobs. We only had about 275,000. The Delta was really the services industry because of the Delta variant, but from research showing that we've kind of plateaued and hopefully are on the downward swing of that. I'm expecting that our numbers, maybe not reflecting in September, but I definitely think our October numbers were going to be really good. Reminder that in 2020, when at the peak of the COVID response, we were at 13% national unemployment, 6.5% military unemployment, veteran. And just a reminder that we are 10% of the U.S. workforce, 10% of the U.S. population, 7% of the U.S. workforce. Really what I wanted to talk about on this episode was really the Great Migration and what we're seeing here as far as us pivoting from the largest service-based economy in the world, meaning hotels, restaurants, amusement parks, movie theaters, you name it, right? Entertain us, to the largest product-based economy in the world, because so many of us are stuck indoors now, or because we had to pivot. Really what we're doing, we're starting to buy more things. And what that's doing is those hotels, those restaurant employees, that main chunk of the unemployed are very customer facing, and they're used to that social work environment. And now as manufacturing is booming and distribution and logistics and everything is booming to kind of react to that pivot as we as the citizens react, those group of humans still need to be retrained, or they need to make that decision to move into a different career path. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now, both civilian and veteran. And one thing that I've noticed going into this product-based economy is that we need more tradespeople. And one of the main things is that we just don't have enough of the programs. To give you an idea, if you look at this chart today, We are using the U.S. Department of Labor for our resources. And here is something that I noticed. PBS NewsHour had a great special on this over the last couple months, but that we only have about 630,000 apprenticeships happening right now across the country. And that's going to graduate all the way up to what they're saying is about 138,000 was the hope. As you can see here from 2008 moving all the way up to 2020, there has been a steady increase in those apprenticeships. It's not keeping up with the demand of the market, but it's getting there. So organizations more and more are going, okay, great, we'll go to the tech colleges, these tech schools, and we're going to try to grab people as they graduate there. We also know that the military is really good at breaking and fixing things. So they have really, really good technicians and technical leaders. How do we attract that talent? And that's what I want to talk about. So that 2020, you see 636,000 active apprentices across the country, and compared to 20.3 million college graduates this year. So that delta is really far off. And I wanted to show you kind of a little bit where those are being, so that you and those hiring authorities can understand really how competitive your local area is for that talent. And then also for the veteran job seeker. This is really important too, to see how competitive you are. If you're in one of these lower markets with the lower, the North, South Dakotas, you can see over here, West Virginia, some other states that have lower numbers of these apprentices. Well, of course, your skill set is going to be in higher demand because the supply versus the demand. There's much higher demand than supply. So I thought this would be interesting for the team to look at and review. And then I wanted to drill down a little bit further into that as well. It's not just the technical apprenticeships, but what skill set is being trained the most, and how does that compare to what we're seeing out there on the demand side? And what we're seeing right now, again, from the U.S. Department of Labor, we want to make sure we're getting these resources, this data from the government specifically. But what we're seeing is the most active apprenticeship is the electrician, which is also what we're seeing the highest in demand. You know, everything is energized nowadays, especially in manufacturing, going with that 480 3-phase high voltage. That having an electrician is extremely important. Even in the residential community, HVAC, residential construction, it's just in high demand. Below that's the carpentry, then the construction craft labor, plumber. Referring back to PBS NewsHour and their workforce special they had over the last few months, they had an Air Force veteran on there who owns a Mr. Plumber franchise, and said he has plumbers there making $200,000 a year right now, and he still can't hire enough plumbers for his demand. So it really shows you that that pendulum has swung into the trades. And don't forget, anybody that's following our legislation process right now, that there are large infrastructure bills that, if any of it is passed, from the 1 trillion to 3.5, that's going right into the trades again. So we're already in a hyper competitive market for this skill set, and it's only going to grow. It's only going to get tighter and tighter if these bills pass. Now, we looked at the number of apprenticeships, where they're located, and what skill set they're training. Here is what industry they're being trained into. So we can see here that construction makes up almost half of the apprenticeships. So those electrician roles are 110, 220. If you're a manufacturing maintenance manager looking for a high voltage 483 phase electrician, these apprenticeships might not even develop that talent for you. You're still going to have to bring that residential low voltage electrician in and teach them the high voltage. And unfortunately, that's just part of what the economy is delivering right now. And as far as those job seekers, those electricians mate, those electricians out of the military, know that you're in very, very high demand right now. I will tell you one other point I'm noticing, specifically in the manufacturing sector. Even though everything's energized and everything's automated, electrical, electronics, the majority of failures are mechanical, hydraulics, pneumatics, bearings, pumps, valves, seals. So you with a mechanical aptitude if you're able to, and this is speaking to all mechanics out there, you need to be able to read a wiring diagram and trouble a fault, chase a fault. And just having that light electrical experience and being able to verbalize that and show it will really get you up to that next level opportunity within the manufacturing industry as well, and even field service. Because again, a lot of the faults that are going to be fixed, you may reset a PLC or electronics, but the majority of the faults themselves are going to need a wrench. So companies are looking for strong, mechanically minded individuals with that experience, but have enough respect and knowledge of electricity not to get themselves or anybody else hurt. So something to think about there. And when we're talking about the those apprenticeships, I wanted to show how that correlates with the military. So every year, and we've talked about 10% of the US economy, 7% of the US workforce veterans, active, reserve, National Guard contingent make up 1% of the US populace. And we get about 200 to 250,000 military professionals transition out into corporate America a year. And where you see that come out is really in the pyramid of leadership in the military. We have, and for the civilians or people not familiar with rank structure and how that works, the military has its own pay grades, and the E stands for enlisted. That's somebody like myself who I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. So I was an E1. After 6 months of being an E1, going through training, you were given E2. After 9 more months of going through training and doing your job, you're given E3. After that, you need to earn E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, E9. And E9 is the highest enlisted rank possible. Every branch of service has a different name for that rank, but the rank is self. Hey, I'm an E5. All veterans know exactly what that is. And what you'll see is after your first tour, your first or 4 or 6 years, depending on what contract you signed, most likely you're coming out as an E3, E4, E5. Sometimes in those specialized rates, Navy nuclear community or other rates, you may advance to the E6 in as fast as 6 years. But why I say it's so important is the E3, E4, E5, and in some MOSs, military occupational specialties, some branches of service, E6 are all hands-on maintenance. They're all technical, or they're individual contributors. So even the motor transport operator like myself, I did light maintenance on the vehicles. We call it first echelon maintenance, changing oil, things like that, fluids. But I wanted to become more technical. I am the prime candidate, Justin Henderson, transitioning out of the military, and the prime candidate for one of these internships. So understanding the rank of the candidate you're speaking to really help you understand their capabilities. So as you see, this reference point comes from the RecruitMilitary job board. And the reason I feel that's a good data point is we have 1.5 million veterans on the job board. We get about 250, 300 new every day. So we have a large enough sample size to say we can kind of push this across the whole veteran populace. But again, you're seeing about 25% of the people transitioning out are at that E4 rank, which is that straight up proficient individual contributor. Then 20% are that E5. And again, depending on the branch of service, individual contributor, lead tech, or in the Marine Corps as an E5, I was in charge of 26 other Marines. So really depends on your branch of service and your MOS. But if you're looking for that individual contributor, technical talent, that person willing to train to turn a wrench, that's what you're looking for. And that's something to think about when you're going into your interviews and you're talking to these candidates. Another point is the O's. So you'll see O1 all the way up to O8. That's officer pay grade. O1 as you start as an officer, and you go all the way up to really O10. That's the 4-star generals that you may see on TV once in a while. The W's, the warrants, those are the SMEs. Either they're aviators, like our CEO, Tim Best. He is a former Army Little Bird attack helicopter pilot with the 160th Special Forces unit out of the Army. He was a warrant officer. But also, if you start as enlisted as a mechanic, an electrician, somebody in a skilled position, you will move into that warrant officer rank because you are the SME. hey, you really, really know this role, and we can depend on you to lead by example and lead others. So that's a really, really good rate. You find a warrant officer out of a technical rating that, hey, that person really, really knows their stuff and they're a great leader. It's just really, really good. Something people don't think about often either is the military spouse. You know, military spouses make unbelievable employees, especially now in this market. We have gone to this great disruption, which we're going to talk about next. And we're moving to a hybrid model. As you can see, I work from home. It's moving exponentially. Indeed, every other job board is talking about just the highest. I think it was Indeed said 127% increase in remote jobs in August alone. So we're seeing this in military spouses who are high performers, but they look like job hoppers because every time their spouse moves to a new duty station, they have to quit their job, move to that new duty station, and start all over again. But now in the hybrid work model, the remote work model, they can actually have a full career. I can tell you personally, RecruitMilitary, we're about 85% remote as an organization. And we have been able to leverage that remote function as an organization to really attract some great military spouses into our organization, because they now know that they have a career. No matter where they go with their spouse, they're going to be a part of the RecruitMilitary family and have a job. So you operational leaders, HR leaders that are thinking about that remote culture, that hybrid culture, I'm telling you from experience, we're seeing great benefits from moving that way. So I did promise the next slide, we talk about the great disruption. For you that are looking for more information on this, I took this actual screenshot is from the Microsoft Work Trend Index report, which we'll drop the link into after this presentation, or Sean, if you have time, drop it in now. This is really interesting. They polled over 30,000 professionals, and what they found is that the 46% of the workforce is planning to move because now they can work remotely. I personally moved from Atlanta to Boston because I was working remotely. My wife's from this area. It just made sense to come here. Like I talked about earlier, Indeed saw a huge increase in remote opportunities. LinkedIn saw a 5 times increase in remote opportunities since the pandemic started. And we're seeing a lot of meetings being done virtually, 148% increase in Teams meetings since February 2020. And the same with the email traffic. It's just the way of the future. The pandemic really broke open the technology's ability to influence our lives even more and to be involved in our work life. We're already connected to everything, but now this remote life is really a part of the future, is what we're seeing. As far as this great disruption, we talked about the 46% of the workforce planning to move because they can now work remotely. That's something that led me to the Great Migration. What we're seeing right now is, first, you can see the hiring dip that came in when COVID hit our shores, and we had that huge drop. And then we see ourselves slowly but surely ticking up. Our labor participation rate, I'll know that again next Friday, but as of September 1, it was 61.7%. To give you an idea, that difference you're seeing between 2020, 2021 is the 63.3% was the labor participation rate February 2020, and now we're at 61.7. So we do have some margin there to still, all you that are recruiting and looking for employees, there's still people out there looking. As of September 1, it was 10.5 million job openings on Indeed and 5.9 million job seekers per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, people that were looking for work. So that number is going to continue to increase, and hopefully those job numbers openings will continue to decrease. But what we're seeing, and apologies for not really being able to zoom in on this, but the Great Migration here, again, this is coming from the Microsoft report, is what you're seeing. Of course, San Francisco down 17%. A lot of people, especially now that tech has said, hey, you don't have to come into our HQ anymore, you can live wherever you want. Those people are leaving the expensive places to live. You can see Minneapolis, Chicago. They've always had a really, really tight labor market, and it's only just getting worse now as people are migrating south. Not exactly sure why. I would say lower cost of living, warmer climate, could be lower tax rates, could be whatever. But what we're seeing is a lot of migration to the south. And even for me, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I do a lot of work with clients in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area. And Eastern Pennsylvania is seeing a huge push as people are leaving the high cost of New York and New Jersey and just going over the state line into Pennsylvania and buying property. Companies that have never had a problem with hiring military or housing military are still not having a problem hiring them. It's just those veterans are having a really hard time finding affordable housing in those areas. So as you look at that migration, if you're in those cities that are getting the pluses, that's great. You've got talent coming toward you, or it's remote talent like me that just comes in there and is already employed. But if you're in the Chicago, Minneapolis, Seattle, Portland area, San Francisco, those areas that are really seeing a talent withdrawal, you have a hard job. And if you're in the HR recruiting function, you need to be honest with your operations members so they understand the battle space you're in. If you're in operations, it's time to get creative. Try to figure out those cornerstone skill sets and experience that are really, really, truly must have, and then swiping off the rest. That's a talent deficit recruiting model. And what you want to do is say, I just need this is the minimum that I can build off of so that you can get the best human possible. Remember, times like this when experience levels are really low on the market, you really want to focus on what you may call soft skills, what I call human skills. You want to make sure your interview process is focusing on that. Get that cornerstone skill set identified, make sure they have it, and then make sure it's the right human you want to hire and that person that is professionally curious that you can invest in. That is totally critical in a talent surplus market now. Now, for you job seekers, same thing. You need to understand what are your core skill sets you're bringing to an organization, how to articulate that in 60 to 90 seconds so that they understand the value of you. Not just how many wrenches you turned or how many engineering projects you had or how many sales you made, but understand that you as a human, how can you grow and develop into that role? And how are you excited about those challenges? While we're on that one little nugget, there's a great person called Lou Adler. His name's Lou Adler. He's been around forever. Talent, performance-based job descriptions, performance-based hiring. This is the perfect time to look at that. The job description was created during the Great Depression, 25% unemployment. We already know that we have 5 million more jobs than we have candidates. It's just what it is. So do not put a job posting out that is a bunch of talking points, a bunch of bullet points of gimme, 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 gimme. Cancer's seeing that all day, every day. If you do it in a paragraph format where they can actually envision themselves working there and understand this is what the job is, these are the hurdles going to have to overcome. And once I overcome those challenges, these are my rewards. You're going to get the best talent to apply. And that's what you want. Quality, interested talent to apply that you can then vet properly. Now, we talked about candidates and what they're looking for. Right now, that's part of the Great Reshuffle, as we call it. They're looking for a good work-life balance and then compensation and benefits. Our benefits have been eroded every year, 10% increase in cost and less coverage each year. And employees are just getting tired of it. They say, hey, I should be able to live a healthy life and have benefits that don't cost me an arm and a leg. Physically and virtually. But then that leads into the Great Reshuffle that I was talking about. Right now, everybody's looking for good work-life balance and excellent benefits. Corporate America has suppressed those benefits to the best of their abilities, and they've turned our compensation into calculus. The work-life balance, as Americans, we feel like the more hours we work, the harder we work, the better of a person we are. COVID has seemed to have broken that and said, no, actually, I think I want to spend time with my family. I think that's important too. 80 hours a week, 60 hours a week, no thank you. So we're seeing that shift. Corporate America hasn't quite figured out how to deliver that yet. I will tell you now, companies that really are hurting for the trades-based talent, and those field service people are understanding they just have to change the comp. And we're seeing it quickly. So stand by, you job seekers. And then inspiring colleagues, culture. We always say culture eats strategy for lunch. That's a military term. It's true right now more than ever. Especially our veteran candidates are looking to talk to you about, hey, do you enjoy working there? Why? That's one of the first questions they ask a recruiter or an operation. Why do you enjoy working there? What's challenging? What's rewarding? They're trying to get an understanding of the culture and say, hey, can I get behind this mission? And will I want to go to work every day? Because they know in this economy, they don't have to go to work. They can find the job that they want to do. Because again, there's 5 million more job postings than there are employable people right now. And then again, the challenging work. A top performer like myself, somebody that always wants to be challenged, is looking for that. So, hey, we're still looking for a challenge, but you can't put that in the forefront. The interview can't be gimme, 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 gimme. I want this, I want that. No, it has to be a balancing act. And that's what we're seeing right now. Then, of course, going back to the flexible work arrangements, we are looking for a balance. There are some candidates, there's some people that really enjoy the in-office, and there's some that really want a hybrid. If you have families, you want to have that ability to attend the kids' course or sporting event, as well as go to work. So something to keep in mind for your operational leaders. And this is a big one. And this is my last slide for the show, but it's really important. The people that are making the decisions, our business leaders, are having their best life, their best year that they've had, best 2 years they've had in a really long time. It's just a straight up trajectory. You're seeing the stats of how those people are getting more money than they've ever made. The savings are higher than they've ever been. It's just, so for this, it's not that bad out there. These people are saying it's not as bad out there as we keep hearing on the news. But those current job seekers right here, the frontline workers, new employees, single employees, it's the worst it's ever been. They're surviving and struggling. 67%. New employees, 64%. Frontline workers, 61%. The Gen Z, who are still trying to find their spot in this economy right now, 60%. Of course, working moms, mine being one of them, trying to balance the responsibilities of being a working professional, yet pivoting every time the school has to change due to the COVID pandemic. So just remember that if you're an operational leader, if you're a business unit leader, a department head, that, yeah, it may not feel that bad to you, but no, farther down that ladder, really at the bottom rungs, it's an extremely, extremely hard time right now. And this is where that servant leadership will really come into effect. Boots on the ground, why you want to hire a military leader. It's about culture. It's about buy-in. It's about respecting everybody on your team and listening. And right now, what we're seeing too on that veteran hiring side is there are some departments, some companies are going, oh my gosh, we're bleeding people out of this division. And then what they realize is, oh, it's not the people in there, it's that leader. That leader is not understanding the hardships that are happening within their team. And they're hiring military leaders to come in and build that culture back up. So if you're a leader and you're listening to this, you're watching this, please think about that. Say, hey, take yourself out of the situation, listen to the bottom rungs, those people that are really on the front lines, getting the work done, understanding the environment they're operating in. Because this is again from the Microsoft Work Trend Report, this is what we're seeing. So final thoughts again, we'll get the espresso version out the Monday after next with the actual jobs numbers for you. And I'll kind of cover everything I covered here in 3 to 5 minutes. Love to hear your feedback on that. If it's something that you all like, then I can do that after every one of these. But my final thoughts are just that, it's a dynamic environment, and we've got a lot of change happening right now. And just remember that the work reshuffle is happening. If you're in those cities that are having that talent pool being drawn out of your city, you have to find ways to find people to come back. And the transitioning military is the right way to do it. If you have a veteran, if you have somebody in the military that applies to your job and they're not local, they're probably going to use their military relocation to get there. So make sure you have the conversation. If you don't see it on the resume, have the conversation. I promise you it's worth the 20 to 30 minutes to talk to that guy. Not only could that person be your next hire, you're going to learn what that experience is and whether it's relevant or not. Because once you figure out the right MOSs for your specific jobs, the right job titles, then you know what the right veterans to go after are. So again, Justin Henderson with RecruitMilitary. I know we're right up against the 30-minute mark. So I want to thank you all so much. I'll jump into the comment sections and answer your questions right now. But again, thank you so much for your time. I will shoot out that espresso version the Monday after next, and then we'll see you in November. Thank you.